So over a year ago on this exact day, I switched to the iPhone 15 Plus. Now as a tech journalist, I have access to many smartphones. Now when I say many, I do mean many smartphones. So despite having so many choices, why did I settle on this specific smartphone? Well, I'll tell you why. So last year when I had to pick a smartphone for myself, I had a bunch of requirements. It needed to have a big screen so that I can easily review the footage that I shoot. It also needed to have a bright display so I can see it while shooting in the sunlight. It also needed to have a good battery life so I can charge it just overnight and take it with me without worrying about anything. It also needed more storage, and most importantly, it needed a very high quality video camera. You see, my job involves creating a lot of content. I shoot everything from cars to laptops to tablets and everything else too that lands on my table. So that's why I needed a phone with a good video camera. But I didn't want any video camera. I wanted one which was reliable, multi-purpose and was easy to carry and shoot with. Now I know that a lot of people shy away from the iPhone 15 Plus's big size. They instead prefer the more handy form factor of the standard iPhone 15. But this big size becomes a huge advantage when you want to shoot steady, slow moving and cinematic footage. Because the added size makes the smartphone easy to grab onto with both hands, and the added weight makes it easy to keep the hand steady while shooting a footage. Like some of the erratic small hand movements get cancelled out because of the added heft due to the phone's size and weight. And here are some of the videos that I have shot with this smartphone over the past year. But even though I am doing so much of tareef of this phone, don't think that it has no problems. Like seriously, doesn't matter what the world might tell you, iPhones are not perfect. So the first problem is the 60Hz display. Now I know that many people will simply say in its defense that normal people can't tell the difference between 60Hz and 120Hz, or that 60Hz is well good enough. But in my experience, everyone I have ever met has found the 120Hz display is smoother and better compared to the 60Hz. And moreover, 60Hz makes typing on this phone absolutely terrible. Like I have to rewrite simple sentences so many times because the phone makes a typo because I'm typing too fast and the screen just fails to register that. Although it is important to note here that the refresh rate of a smartphone does not necessarily affect the typing experience or typing speed, but the overall smoothness of the animation and the way the things flows in a 120Hz display just is better compared to a 60Hz panel. Compare that to a 120Hz display in basically any Android smartphone and the difference is humongous. I mean, it literally feels world apart. Like this is also one of the reasons why I feel that the iPhone 16 is such a bad upgrade. Not only did it not give us a 120Hz display, but Apple gave us something which is double redundant, which is the camera button. And I think that including the camera button is more than a simple mistake on Apple's part, because Apple as a brand has always been efficient. It does not include things in its products which are unnecessary, and the camera button is very much so, because you can open your camera like this, you can open it like this, and you can even open it like this. So this just shows Apple's stubbornness to do everything instead of giving us the 120Hz display, even if that includes stooping to a level which isn't expected from a company like Apple. The display quality is pretty good though. It can do with a little bit of more brightness in the outside environment, but the overall quality of the display is top notch. The way it reproduces color and everything else is very good. And the speakers on the iPhone 15 Plus are also very rich. They are slightly more loud compared to the standard iPhone 15 because of the bigger size. So that's another advantage you get it with being bigger.
But obviously, since some of these phones are quite close in price points to each other, there comes the problems of redundancies.
And speaking of bigger, the iPhone 15 Plus also has a bigger battery, and the backup that it delivers is unparalleled. I once took this phone on a journey from New Delhi to Palo Alto in California, and the only time I charged my phone was when I reached the hotel with 15% charge still left. It is simply a champ, but the exceptional battery life too comes at a huge cost, because there is very little background multitasking that happens on this thing. For example, if I am downloading something from the web, I will have to stay on that page. Similarly, if I have to upload an Instagram story, I need to keep the Instagram open, otherwise my story won't get uploaded. But despite these issues, I still have to stick with this thing because of the video camera. And the best way I can describe how good this is simply to tell you to go to the Digit India's YouTube channel and search for my videos and try to identify the parts that have been shot with the iPhone 15 Plus. I assure you, you will find it very difficult to differentiate. Also, pretty much all of my auto videos have been shot with the iPhone 15 Plus as well. So a very reliable video camera it has, and the 2x zoom which comes with it is also very handy, especially when I have to take B-rolls. And I was really hoping that Apple would give us a 48 megapixel camera in the iPhone 16 in the ultra wide lens. Because shooting a car video in the ultra wide lens is the only way to do so for the lack of space. And Apple did give us that, but in the iPhone 16 Pro, just like the 120Hz display, and that's just disappointing. Now before we move on, the iPhone 15 Plus's photos are also pretty good. The edge detection in portrait mode can be a bit better because when you compare it against the likes of something like the Vivo X100, the difference is just too much to ignore. But the overall natural tone and the color reproduction of the camera is very good. So in conclusion, I picked up the iPhone 15 Plus exactly a year ago, and since then it has served me exactly as I expected it to. It gave me good battery backup, a reliable video camera, a good display, and absolutely nothing else. It gave me no fast charging, no high refresh rate display, no background multitasking, and not a good ultra wide camera. So no surprises at all. And after using it for over a year, I will finally give it back and pick up another one. And we will meet again after 1 year to see how things have changed. Until then, this is me Yetnesh Dubey, and I will see you guys next time.